Ever since Tom Brady left the Patriots, it seemed like the Bills were going to be the next dynasty in the AFC East, but the Dolphins have made a big time move for Jalen Ramsey. The Jets are going to be making a blockbuster trade for Aaron Rodgers soon, and the Patriots keep on adding weapons. And with Bill Belichick, we know anything is possible. And with all that said, I don't think that there should be a clear favorite for the AFC East this upcoming season. We'll talk about that in a bit, but before we do, the Miami Dolphins have made a couple more signings. The first one is Eric Sauber, a tight end from the Broncos, 148 receiving yards with 1 touchdown last season. He won't be getting the ball much, but just know that he's one hell of a blocker. I said last week that I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins didn't really sign a tight end and shifted their focus to the draft. It looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. I think they'll be tight end number 3 behind Smythe, and whoever we draft in the second or third round, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Dolphins take a tight end, especially with this draft being very deep at that position. But moving on, Dan Feeney, and finally an offensive lineman. He got cut by the Jets a couple weeks ago, and I think that he will be the backup center. He didn't play much for the Jets, but when he did play center, so he'll most likely, if he does make the roster, I think that he will be the backup for Connor Williams. It would be the dream scenario if he shows out in training camp, he becomes the starting center, we can move Connor Williams to left guard, and all we have to worry about is that right tackle spot, but it's probably not going to happen. If Dan Feeney does make the roster, like I said, I think that he will be the backup for Connor Williams. And next up was one that I really like. Braxton Berrios coming home, played for the Hurricanes. So you'd love to see that. One thing that this does say, unfortunately, is that Trent Sherfield is probably not coming back. I loved him last year. I really wanted to re-sign him, but he posted on social media basically a goodbye message to Miami, and then he deleted it like 2 minutes later. So, if we can try to get him back, that'd be so huge. But it's looking like he's not, especially for the money that we had him on last season. He did great for us. Especially as wide receiver number 3 with Cedric Wilson not really working out. But I'm sure that he'll get paid from some other team, and I'll be happy for him. But Braxton Berrios is going to be pretty huge for this team. I think he's going to fit in well next to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. If you're asking who's going to be wide receiver 3 next year, I know people aren't going to want to hear it, but it's probably going to be Cedric Wilson. I know that he wasn't very productive in the offense last season at all. I know a lot of people want him traded just to clear up the cap space. But we paid him that much for a reason, because we know what he can do. He did what he can do in Dallas, and now the Cowboys have been reportedly regretting to let him go, especially seeing what he's done for us this year. But I do think that McDaniel and whoever else on the offensive coaching side they're going to get the most out of him this next season, especially with, like I said, Trent Sherfield being gone. There's going to be a big opening in the offense, and that's where I think that Cedric Wilson is going to step in. But back with Braxton Berrios, I think that he's going to be really nice, especially if you're going to compare him to one player, either that played for the Dolphins or in the NFL. It's Wes Welker, and he's now our wide receivers coach, so I think that he's going to utilize him perfectly. He's also going to be our new punt returner and kick returner, which is what Cedric Wilson did last year. Wasn't his finest job, but now that we have Braxton Berrios, it's going to be really fun to see what we can do with him. The next one isn't as exciting as Braxton Berrios. It's Myles Gaskin, re-signing him. Now, I don't think it rules out the possibility of drafting a running back, but it makes it a lot less likely. I wanted to run it back with Mostert and Wilson and potentially draft a running back, but the fact that we're running it back with the same exact 4 running backs, Mostert, Wilson, Gaskin, and Ahmed, it makes me a bit nervous. I really wanted to try to upgrade the running back room a little bit. There was not really a major problem with it last year, but could we have gotten some type of upgrade? I think so. Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt were options this offseason. I think Sanders signed with the Panthers. Kareem Hunt is still unsigned, but obviously we won't be signing him. Now, with the first 2 picks in the draft, with this second rounder and third rounder, I said before, I think that we will draft the tight end with one of those spots. I'm not really sure what we'll use on the other one, but I think that it looks like the Dolphins are really confident in the run game. Myles Gaskin had his moments as a Miami Dolphin. At one moment, he was running back 1, and we thought he was going to really have a breakout year, but he somehow, he regressed. We'll see what we can do this upcoming season, though. Bringing back Mostert and Wilson, I was a fan of, but bringing back Gaskin and Ahmed to have the same exact running back group, I'm not too sure about that. But it's not something that's going to completely break this team, so I'm okay with it. The next one is one that I do like, though. Nick Needham coming back on the roster. He got injured last season, but before that, he was a really big addition to this team. And crazy enough that he's probably going to be cornerback number 4 next season behind Ramsey, Xavier Howard, and Kader Kohu. I also want to mention Trill Williams because I'm a huge fan of Trill Williams. I was so annoyed when he got injured in week 1 of last preseason. I'm really excited to watch him in training camp. See what he can do. I'm so confident that he's going to make the roster this upcoming season, and he'll probably get some rotational time as well. But it's just crazy to think. I'll talk about it in a minute again. I'll bring up the next guy right now. It's Deshaun Elliott, safety from the Lions. This comes right after Jordan Poyer signed back with the Bills. I'm sure the Dolphins made their cut. They try to get him, but not. I know a friend who's a Lions fan. He says that Deshaun Elliott is a beast. I've heard of him, of course. And seeing some of his highlights, he's a great tackler and he's always on the ball. He's also a great blitzer as well. Now, Brandon Jones is probably a better blitzer than Deshaun Elliott is, but in coverage, it's a huge difference. Deshaun Elliott is up there. Brandon Jones, we know, is not great. Brandon Jones is still a free agent, I'm pretty sure, but I really hope we re-sign him. Actually, I'm not too sure if he is. He may be on the team. I'm actually not even 100%. But I think even if he is a free agent, we'll probably re-sign him to have him behind Holland and Sean Elliott. But now, with that secondary, at the safety spots, you're going to have Holland and Deshaun Elliott, both beasts. And then right in front of them, it's going to be Jalen Ramsey on one side, Xavier Howard on the other side, and then Kader Kohu in there. That's absolutely insane to think that if you're going to not, it's going to happen a lot where teams aren't going to want to throw at the best cornerback in the NFL in Jalen Ramsey. So you look to the other side of the field, and you have another top 10 cornerback there in Xavier Howard. And if you don't want to throw to either of those guys, which are probably your top 2 receivers, so your options are already getting really slim, you look to the third receiver. They're covered by Kader Kohu, who's the dog last year, probably the best undrafted rookie free agent, at least maybe on the defensive side. But you get the point. The defense is going to be really fun to watch, especially, of course, on top of it all, Vic Fangio is going to be in charge of this whole defensive staff. So I'm really excited to see what the defense can do. But on to what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. The AFC East is as wide open as it's ever been. Probably since the year 2008 especially, because that was the year that Brady tore his ACL and the Dolphins. That was the last time the Dolphins won the division. I have a hat saying Division Champs 2008, which is the last time that we won it. But every other team but the Bills in the AFC East have been making their moves. I started with the Dolphins, of course, with Ramsey, and these other moves that I've been mentioning. But of course, the splash of the offseason was Jalen Ramsey for the Jets. He just announced on the Pat McAfee show 2 days ago that yesterday actually, that he's expected, he has the intention to play for the Jets. So I'm sure that they'll get a trade worked out because Aaron Rodgers is the last guy you want to piss off. Looks like they're going to be landing him. Not only that, but they're bringing along Alan Lazard with him as well. And all that with now Nathaniel Hackett, who they had in Green Bay as their new offensive coordinator. So that's going to be a pretty scary sight. I'm not going to lie, I'm still not too worried about that. But with the Patriots, they've been doing much. But like I said before, with Bill Belichick, anything's possible. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster on a 3-year deal after losing Jacoby Myers. So, Mac Jones is going to get his weapons, but they're probably going to be, once again, the poverty team. But they'll still end up in the hunt for the playoffs somehow because they have Bill Belichick, so we know that they can do anything. But the Bills haven't done much this offseason. We did see that Josh Allen, Von Miller, and Stephon Diggs all restructured their contracts. They made up about $50 million in cap space, and that's where I got pretty nervous because it looked like they were going to be targeting a guy like Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook or Austin Eckler. We haven't heard about anything really from those guys since, there were some rumors about them maybe a couple days ago, but the rumors have dropped, and, news has been quiet, especially in the running back market. And that's why I'm kind of nervous that the Bills are about to make some type of blockbuster move. I really hope they don't, of course. I'm not rooting for them. Because if they can pull off a trade for Derrick Henry or Austin Eckler or Dalvin Cook, the Bills are probably right back on top to be the favorites in the AFC East. But until they do that, I'm probably putting the Dolphins at 1, and then the Bills at 2, and then there's a pretty big drop off. Not that big. There's a small drop off to the Jets, and then there's pretty big drop off to the Patriots. But I think as of right now, with the Bills standing with the roster that they have, we saw some rumors with Stephon Diggs. He deleted everything off of Instagram and also unfollowed the Bills. I know that people do that every single day, but the Bills need to figure out what they're gonna do, because the Dolphins are the Bills window. I'm not saying Super Bowl window. I'm saying AFC East window. It may be closing up. Now the Jets are gonna have only a 1-2 year window at most, but the Dolphins, we're coming up, and this season, like I said before, but the defense is gonna be stacked. The offense, we did top 10 offense last year, only gonna get better this year if Tua can stay healthy. So I'm really looking forward to the season, man. The Dolphins are gonna be in the contention to win the division. If we do, that wild card playoff game is going to be absolutely packed, unless we get the 1 seed and we get a bye. But assuming that we do just win the division, be the 2, 3, or 4 seed, man, it's going to be the most fun that I've probably ever had in my life. But either way, the Dolphins stay making moves. Now, if we can make a move, I will mention this really quickly. If we can make a move for an actual guard, not Dan Feeney, or bringing back Jaron Christian, who was on the practice squad last year. We also brought him back. If we can make a legitimate move for either a left guard or right tackle, specifically, though, right tackle for Tua's blind side, I'd be very happy. But these are all the moves that the Dolphins have made so far. Let me know what you think. Hey, if Chris Greer has... he's done his thing, but there's still a couple more moves that definitely need to be done. And with the draft coming up, like I said, we'll probably draft the tight end and with the first of our 2 picks. But other than that, we don't really know what they're going to do. Chris Greer was such a mystery, especially come this time of the year. But either way, that'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.